Hi, I'm Carrie with eatingonadime.com, and I'm on a mission to help you save money and eat well on a budget. We're gonna save a ton of time, and we love our crock pot around here. So today I am using my green pan crock pot. Now, any crock pot will work. You can have your grandma's old crock pot will work. But today I'm using this one because it's a digital cooker. So what that means is it actually will bake and saute as well. And in this recipe, it calls to brown your ground beef. So instead of going to the skillet, I'm gonna do it right here. And this is why I love this slow cooker. Now it has the, what's it called? The non-stick insert that I really, really like. The green pan, so it's supposed to be a non-stick, not non-stick, it is non-stick, but a non-toxic insert as well. But we'll be able to brown the ground beef, drain the fat, and then throw in all our stuff to make this super easy without having to dirty up any dishes. And this is my kind of recipe. If you're having a casserole and you just had to dirty up one pan, dinner just tastes better, don't you think? Okay, let me show you how to do it. The first thing we need for this recipe is 2 pounds of ground beef. Now I already turned on my slow cooker and I turned it on to saute. So we're going to throw it in here and saute the beef, AKA we're going to brown the beef. Now I'm using a lean ground beef, but you don't have to. You're just gonna wanna make sure you drain off any of the fat before you add everything in, just so it's not like a greasy mess. It'll be a little greasy because it's hamburger meat, but a little bit less. Now you can also make this with ground chicken or ground turkey if you want to. And a little money saving tip, you can actually do 1 pound of ground turkey and 1 pound of ground beef. When you actually brown, I keep saying actually, so I'm sorry, but when you brown ground beef with ground turkey, the turkey will actually take on the flavor of the ground beef and nobody will know that you're having ground turkey. So it'll be lower in fat, and it's a great way to save some money without anybody in your family knowing. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this brown up and we'll be back. Now remember, you do not have to have a fancy slow cooker to do this. You can just go to your cast iron or your regular skillet and fry it up and brown up the beef and then dump it in here as well. Okay, we're gonna let this brown. While this is browning, we're gonna go ahead and get everything else ready to layer our casserole, because this is a delicious casserole with ground beef, potatoes, a nice sauce, and cheese. And so we're gonna assemble everything, so when this is done, we just have to throw it all into the crock pot. So you're gonna need 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. Now, if you don't like using the cream of soup, I get it. We actually have a homemade version on eatingonadime.com. You can search there. Or if you don't like just cream of mushroom and you like other ones, you can do a cream of chicken, cheddar cheese, you could do a 1-in-1. So you have different options and it'll still taste really, really good. Now, I personally do not like mushrooms. I just don't, but I don't mind cream of mushroom soup or even our homemade one. So be willing to try it as well. We're gonna add in a cup of milk and we're just gonna whisk this together to make it a nice sauce that we're gonna pour over this casserole. Okay, whisk this all together and then we're gonna set this aside. Now we're gonna need some shredded cheese. We need about 1.5 cups of shredded cheese. Like I've been saying for years, I highly recommend you actually shred your cheese by hand. So much better for you, and the flavor is just unreal. Now to make this even faster, I'm going to show you how I shred cheese super, super fast. I've got this handy dandy cheese shredder that is very inexpensive on Amazon. I'll give you the link for that too, but I'm gonna show you how easy it is to work. Now, once you put it down, it has a lock and that suctions it to your countertop. Then you just have to cut your cheeses to fit inside. Whoops, almost forgot this to push the cheese down, okay? Now remember, I have a link for you. It's very, very inexpensive, but let me show you how easy it is. So I just cut these into pieces that will fit. Okay, place one in there, push it down, and then you just turn this And look what happens. Look at this. Look how quick that was. That whole little section was shredded in literally minutes. So much easier and faster than shredding by hand. And the kids can actually do it because they're not going to chop off their fingers or, you know, cut their little knuckles when they slip. And it's very easy to clean. Everything is dishwasher safe. So again, I'm going to put a link. It's not a big deal. If you don't like it, you can do regular hand shredding it, but we love it. Oh, I got to do a test. Just because it makes it so much quicker. And you can get your kids involved in the kitchen. So, but you'll find this in the description with the full recipe. Now I'm just going and checking on my beef. We're going to set this cheese aside and we're going to get our potatoes ready. And this is almost done browning. Once it's done browning, you can just turn it off while you finish getting everything else ready. Okay, our beef is looking browned up. I love this tool that we have linked to because it gets in there and chops up your ground beef into little pieces, so that way you get ground beef in every bite and you don't get those dry big pieces of ground beef that sometimes you'll get. Love this thing. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off and let it cool slightly while we get to work on the rest of the recipe. And now we need potatoes. We need 5 russet potatoes. Can you use other potatoes? Yes, of course. Yukon Gold and red potatoes would be great. Can you leave the skins on? Yes, of course. My kids don't like that, so I'm not even going to fight them on this. And so we're going to peel the potatoes. So I'm just going to quickly peel all the potatoes. And then we are going to slice them up. Okay, I didn't bore you with all watching me peel potatoes, but now we're going to slice the potatoes. Now, you can just use a knife and try to get them as evenly as possible, or you can use a mandolin slicer. I'm using, my old mandolin slicer broke, and so I had bought this for a food chopper, and I'm giving it a try. And it's not bad. The thing I don't like about it is it slices them very, very thin, whereas a mandolin slicer, you can actually adjust the thickness. And so I'll probably still invest in another mandolin slicer just for future references. Now, this one does, even on a mandolin, it still comes with like this. So, but I always start out with potatoes because they're usually pretty long. Slicing them just by hand because my hands are going to be protected. I love this thing for chopping vegetables, but the slicing isn't the best. Okay, now that we're getting a little bit closer, well, I got a little bit of time. Another trick when you're using a mandolin slicer, if you can see, it gets slanted. So every few times turn it, because when you put pressure on it, that way it doesn't end up the whole thing just going sideways. So you can get more even. Now, the reason you want more evenly potatoes is because you want them to all cook at the same time. So it helps if they're all more evenly sliced. All the potatoes are sliced and then we put them in a bowl, and then I'm going to dump this meat out and put it into this bowl. And the reason we're doing that is because we're going to actually layer this like an actual casserole. Okay, and we're ready to layer. Now for layering, we're going to start with our potatoes. I already started pouring some in here. And we're going to just place them out across the top, about half of the potatoes, and we just want to cover the bottom of the slow cooker. So I'm just placing them to give you that nice layer. Now remember, we're only putting half down now, and then the other half will go on. And now we're going to do the meat layer. So you're just going to do about half of the beef, and then spread it out right on top. Now on that potato layer, you could do salt and pepper as well if you want to, but I usually don't, just because the cream of mushroom soup has a lot of salt, and then I just serve it with salt and pepper because it just kind of tastes better that way. That way people who want more salt or pepper can just add it to their dinner at the end. And then our last layer, we've got to do the cream of soup. Now remember, you're only going to do half. Just pour it right on top. And then the cheese, about half the cheese. Now we just repeat and do it all again. Now we're just gonna cover it and we're gonna cook it on high for 3 to 4 hours. You can cook this on low, but it doesn't really need a lot since those potatoes are thinly sliced. I just gotta throw these in the dishwasher and I'll meet you back here in a few hours. Okay, she smells delicious. Now you'll know when she's finished because everything's cooked through except for those potatoes and we're heating everything up. So what you're gonna do is just take a fork and dab it and stab it into a potato to see if it kind of falls apart, and if it's super soft and tender, you're ready to eat. So I kind of lifted up a potato just so you could kind of see it better, but then you just poke it and see how the fork comes out clean. It's nice and soft and tender, perfect to bite. Now, if you cook it too long, they'll become mushed and still will be delicious. So if you accidentally overcook it, don't worry, it's still gonna be really, really good. And if you undercook it a little bit, they'll just be a little crispier, but that's okay too. Now we're time for my favorite part, which is eating it. Now, you're just gonna scoop it out. I do like a spatula. And if it comes a little sloppy, that's what it's supposed to be like. It's a delicious comfort food. It's so good. Now, one of my tricks, let's give me some tips, is on a crock pot recipe that you are like baking it. About 10 to 15 minutes before you're ready to serve, take the lid off and any extra moisture there is will evaporate in the last few minutes. You can even unplug it and just let it set for a minute. Just like a casserole, if you were to make a casserole in the oven, we always recommend you set it for 5 or 10 minutes to let everything settle and then dig into it. I didn't wait today because I can't wait. I'm so hungry. It's so good. Okay, let's do a little quick taste tester and see how it is. Can you see the steam? I never know if you can see the steam in the video, but we're gonna pretend you can. This is my daughter's favorite recipe for a reason. She requests this recipe on her birthday. She loves it so much. She's gonna be pumped when she comes home and finds out that this is what I made. Now, you can completely make this recipe your own. You can add green beans to it. You can add broccoli to it, or you can just serve it with, like we're gonna serve it with a side of broccoli, but you can actually mix in your veggies in there as well. You would just continuing in the layer process. My kids would probably throw things at me if I put broccoli in this casserole, but you can, and that's totally okay. I bet you they would love it. I think it would be delicious, especially with green beans. That would be so good. It'd be a one-pot dinner. Now, a little tip, if you want to make this recipe even easier, because we have that recipe on eatingonadime.com, instead of using the potatoes, you can actually use frozen hash browns. So you can do tater tots, you can do shredded hash browns, you can do whole hash browns, and you make the recipe just as is, but instead of the potatoes, you're gonna use a bag of hash browns. So you don't have to do any peeling or slicing. So if you're on a time crunch, try that recipe too. Now also, remember, you can grab the full recipe. Just go to Google, search Eating on a Dime Crockpot Hamburger Casserole, or you can just search hamburger potato casserole and you're gonna get up some other delicious recipes. This one's a good one, friends, that you're gonna wanna make on repeat this fall and winter. But honestly, you're gonna wanna make this year round because it's a casserole dish that you can love, that you don't have to heat up your kitchen. So whether it's 100 degrees outside or 20 degrees outside, you can enjoy this delicious slow cooker recipe. Thanks so much for joining me. If you like today's recipe, make sure you like and subscribe. I don't want you to miss any more of our family-friendly recipes. We hope that you are loving our videos and we are showing you that we create real recipes for real families from real people. You guys have a great day and I will see you next time in my kitchen.